this time we're looking, we'll have a couple of slides that have been covered previously. If you have attended the previous bootcamp, feel free to stop me and let us know your thoughts on this or how you use the service. So if you're comfortable with the topic and you want me to move faster, you can let us know in chat and we'll do that. But if you feel like one topic needs to be covered in more detail, again, that you can share that feedback in chat and we'll do that. So I do not have access to the chat panel right now. I'll be counting on Jan, Prashant, and Arun to help me understand about the pace. But feel free to let me know if we should go faster or slower as soon as we get started. So firstly, this is something that a little bit of housekeeping. So feel free to mute your audio if you have some background noise. You can, as Janki mentioned, you can unmute yourself using the mic button in meetings interface to talk with us. And when we have the Codelab sessions, please open your Catalyst account so you can access catalyst.zoho.com. If you've signed up already, you can access console.catalyst.zoho.com to get started. So I'm referring to the .com DC, but if you want to use the EU DC or INDC, feel free to do that as well. You can make the most out of the session if you follow along with us. That way, if you face an error, we can help you right away. So let's get started. Today, we'll do a very quick recap of what we covered in the previous bootcamp. Then I would like to understand which feature of Catalyst is most appealing to you. So Catalyst can be used in multiple ways. We'll be sharing a couple of ways in which Catalyst can be used. And we would like to hear which part is most interesting to you. So then we'll discuss a little bit about the event-driven nature of Catalyst, after which we'll look at the solution design for our application. So this time we're going to build a web application. So we're going to use the web client hosting feature and enable a collection of photograph for a photography contest. But it's not going to be that simple. So we're going to do a couple of operations after the submission in order to make sure that we inform the admins that the post has been made. We send out mailers, things like that. But the basic idea is very simple. It is to make sure that good quality photos are being submitted for a photography contest that is being conducted. So we look at the solution design, and then I'll show you a quick demo of the application, after which we'll build this together. So that is what we have planned for today. And hopefully we would love to hear use cases from you. So where would you like to use this image moderation feature in any of your applications or any use case? And that's what we've got planned for you today. So let's get started. I think we covered this in the previous bootcamp as well. But today I would like to delve deeper into the components that we'll be using today. So today we'll be using the event-driven functions. We'll be using the HTTP-driven functions along with the web client hosting feature. So today we'll be building a web app. So in the first row, you'll be able to see web apps, Android apps, iOS apps, and microservices. The last time we built a microservice. So this time we're going to build a web app. We'll be building a very simple web app to allow people to submit their entries for a photography competition. So this will be a web app, and it will be using event-driven and HTTP-driven functions on the backend. And we'll be using file stores. We'll be using event-driven and HTTP functions, and we'll be using file store on the backend. So all the files that we upload will get uploaded to a folder in the file store. So we have folder level permissions, and we would have configured this for the file store. So that is where we are at with respect to the components. We'll try to use a little bit of the mailing feature this time, but we'll cover scheduling, Zia, and so we'll be using Zia image moderation as well. So as discussed, we have web apps, mail and Zia, file store, event-driven, and HTTP-driven. So it's going to be a slight increase in the number of components, but we'll work with you every step to make sure that we can build this together. Again, the event-driven functions are capped at 15 minutes, whereas the HTTP-driven functions are capped at 15 seconds for execution, which is the reason we're splitting them up into two. Usually, this is not a very big handicap in terms of coding, but we wanted to let you know that this limitation exists. So you can choose between the types of functions when you have a use case. And So let's get started. I'll move to the next slide. But if you have any questions related to this, or if you have used any of the components, feel free to let us know. We would love to hear that. I think Munawar has used data store previously, but has anyone tried using file store or event-driven functions previously?
Can you hear me?
Oh, Munawar, we can hear you.
Yeah. I used the data store and I created one table. And using the Node.js, I created some web service and pushing data to that table and getting data like this. I did that. It's very nice.
So have you used file store or event-driven functions?
Actually, I created a file store and I'm working on that. I'm just getting the file instance and all from Java, but I'm not able to do that using Node.js. I want to do that one. I'm waiting for that.
You are at the right place then, because we'll be covering that today. We'll be
Yeah,
using
actually,
Node.
when I write the code from the document, it's giving me an error. I don't know why it's showing me an error. Hopefully today it will fix.
Of course. So we'll go through the code for file upload. And later, if you could take a screenshot of the error you're facing and share it in the chat window, we have a support experts with us. They'll be able to help us out with that as well. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Has someone else used event-driven functions of file store previously? Okay, so let's use it then together for the first time. I think we'd covered this previously as well, but I'll go through it very quickly. So we have the Catalyst CLI that can be used locally. We have the development sandbox, that is a copy of your production environment. So you can test your applications in the development sandbox and then push it to production. Production is when your application goes live and is available for scale or to be used. So we'll have these three environments to provide you with the ability to have CI/CD. So you can always have a version of the functions in development sandbox. Changes in development sandbox will not be reflected in production until push. Similarly, changes in local will not be affected in development sandbox. So you can keep working on your code without worrying about disturbing other developers' productivity, as long as you do it in your local machine or in the development sandbox. The best part is the local machine and development sandbox environments are completely free with Catalyst. And with production, we provide up to 125 million invocations for free, given that you use heavy usage pricing and single credit operations like querying the data store. So you needn't worry about using Catalyst because it's going to be completely free for local and development sandbox. You can get started by signing up right away. To do a quick recap, I think I hope I get your name right. Was it Kishore who hadn't attended the last bootcamp?
Yes, Sri.
Awesome. Kishore, this one's for you. So last time we built a Zendesk bot. The bot was used to push tickets from Slack to Zendesk. So the idea being we performed sentiment analysis, figured out the negative comments, and pushed them to Zendesk. We did this using an events API subscription. The code and the slides, the recording, everything is available for you in the community. So feel free to check that out. But I just wanted to go through that very quickly. And so I think we got the feedback from the Codelab. So was there any error? I think we had a couple of questions in desk and maybe 1 or 2 questions in community about one issue that they had faced during building the Slack bot. But were there any questions? Do you have any questions from the previous bootcamp? Were you able to build it successfully? So if you have any questions, feel free to share them either in chat or unmute yourself right now. If you had even a simple error message or you have a stacked risk, feel free to share it with us. We'll get back to you and help you fix the errors right away. So that's something I wanted to discuss. We will be doing a couple of shout outs as well for every bootcamp. So the previous bootcamp and this bootcamp will have shout outs for the active attendees and people who contribute us for the community will also be given shout out. So we have a couple of exciting surprises planned as well. We have our GA coming up on Monday, so hopefully there are exciting things lined up for you. So there are a couple of ways in which Catalyst can be used. I think we did this last time as well, where we said Catalyst is a serverless application development platform. But what it means to you can be anything from a tool to create custom APIs, a platform to build your mobile application, just a REST API endpoint if you are unable to accomplish a task, a web client hosting tool for you to create a different interface for existing applications. So this could mean anything. This could mean a range of things to you, depending on your role and depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So as we discussed right now, if you're a mobile application developer, the Android and iOS SDKs are going to be very useful for you. Whereas if you're looking to build a web application, you could try the web SDK or the functions right away. So the web client hosting feature would be a great add in there. We have multiple features like APM, mailing, push notifications, things like that. But the idea being Catalyst is a serverless application development platform, but it can help you bridge gaps in any ecosystem. So if you have any two Zoho applications that, or any two applications for that matter, SaaS applications that do not communicate well with each other, or you want to perform some transformation on the data, you'll be able to create a custom API for yourself and accomplish that. So what is Catalyst to you could have different meanings for each of us. So Catalyst could be, we've got multiple examples. We've got a list of case studies in our page, Catalyst page as well. You'll see that everyone has used it for a different purpose. And more often than not, it's used to bridge gaps when someone starts building out an application and understands something isn't possible. More often than not, we're really happy to say that Catalyst acts as a connector bridging the gaps in the system. So if you're ever stuck or if you're ever unsure about how to connect to disparate two platforms, just get in touch with us or check out the Catalyst community page. So you might get a lot of ideas from there. So I would like to get your thoughts on this. Event-driven architecture is a very commonly used term, and more often than not, the event-driven versus command-driven paradigm is something that's discussed in all forums. So in terms of event-driven architecture, of course, there's a textbook where they call something event-driven. But how would you look at event-driven architecture? So is there someone who would like to share their idea of what event-driven architecture is? Okay, so let's do that together then. Event-driven architecture is where we look at a trigger and an action. So the way you can look at this is there's going to be a trigger that is executed from somewhere, and upon that trigger, you perform an action. This is going to be handled downstream, and you're going to have error handling instead of having a single point of source where you're going to handle the complete functionality. So how does this work in Catalyst? For example, if you're going to let's take our example itself. We're going to upload a file to the file store and then perform image moderation and then send a message. So this is going to be the flow. We can have the file being uploaded separately. So that is going to be taken care of by file store. We upload the file from an advanced IO function, and we have an event-driven function that is going to handle the action to be performed after uploading the file. So this way we have three components executing events when called, but the idea being the error handling and the functionality is handled by components downstream and not by just a single individual component. This way, it gives rise to multiple cases where you'll be able to understand and evaluate the functioning of every individual component and handle the errors accordingly as well. So event-driven architecture is very popular with serverless because usually serverless is ephemeral, so state isn't maintained in the system, and event-driven architectures help you handle errors right there, and that's a better fit for serverless. So usually these two are very closely associated. All right, then. So let's take a look at the business use case here. This is a very small description. We'll be going into much more detail today. So as you can read from the screen, we have Janet, who's a professional photographer. She is taking part in a community event where she wants to help collect pictures from candidates who will be submitting these images for, let's say, to be published in an article somewhere. So we'll have multiple images that are being passed to our file store. We would have to perform image moderation, check if they're safe. If they're safe, we'll upload them to the file store. If they're not safe, then we're just going to discard them. The other idea here being, once the image has been uploaded, we'll be giving a message saying the file has been uploaded successfully. But how do we notify the admin that this file has been submitted? So here, since we have familiarity with Slack, we're doing this using Slack, but you can use an incoming webhook on any platform. So we'll be using Slack. We'll make a request to our Slack application using an incoming webhook with the file ID to say a file has been submitted. So we have, let's say we have a channel for the admins. So it's going to be called #admins_only_channel. So in this channel, we're going to post messages saying file ID this has been submitted. So once they look at the file and type accepted or rejected, you'll be able to delete the file if it has been rejected, and you can retain it if it has been accepted. So this is the idea that we have in place for today. I understand that there are a couple of components involved, but trust me, we're going to do this together, and it's not as hard as it sounds. So is the use case clear? Can we get started with the application architecture? We have the web client hosting feature. So we're going to host the web app here. We have the advanced IO function that is going to be invoked in order to check if the image is safe. If the image is safe, we're going to upload it to the file store. From the file store upload, we're going to configure an event listener. So that will trigger the event function that's going to check once the file has been uploaded and post a message to the Slack admin channel. So this is the flow that we'll be following today. I'll show you a complete demo once we play the video, because if I play a video within presentations like last time, it wouldn't play properly. It will have a lot of lag. So I'll share the video separately once we complete the entire Codelab session. So I think we can go ahead and get started with the Codelab session. Jan, can I stop sharing my screen? Could you share your screen?
Sure. 2 minutes.
So let's get started with our Catalyst application. The first step would be to download the Catalyst CLI. So we've done this previously in the Bootcamp as well. But if you haven't downloaded the Catalyst CLI, please use the npm install -g zcatalyst-cli command to install the Catalyst CLI locally. I have installed the Catalyst CLI locally already. So I'm going to get started with my application. So let's create a new folder. It's always recommended that you create a new folder before initializing your Catalyst project. This is to enable you to maintain your files easily without having all files in your root directory. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it photography cont. So let me call it photography cont. I'm going to create, let me call it photography contest. I'm going to create a new directory. Now let me check what is present in this directory. It's going to be empty. So I'm going to initialize my Catalyst project here using the catalyst init command. Catalyst init command. So I'm going to type enter. In here, I'm choosing both the functions and CLI. I'll be using the space bar to select and enter to continue. We've done this already, but if you haven't, keep this in mind. So now I'm going to create a new project and call it the photography contest. So I have to select the kind of functions that I would like to create. First, I'm going to create an advanced IO function. Then we'll be creating an event function as well. So I've created an advanced IO function with node 10. So I'm going to install all defaults and continue. Now let's take a look at our directory. So we have the client and functions folder. As always, let's just check out what's present in the client folder. So the client folder will have your index.html file, main.css, main.js, and client package.json. So let us now configure the web client completely So we'll include our HTML code and our JS code and take it from there. So now I've configured the index.html and main.js file. This is going to be very simple. I've used the template that's available with us, but feel free to use simple HTML buttons and input fields. So as you can see here, I have used 3 fields. One is to get the username. The second is going to be to get their email address. And the third is going to be to get their file, which needs to be uploaded to Catalyst File Store. So I get these 3 details, and so the rest, as you can see, I have a header, I've created a tab, things like that. I'll show you a demo of the web client in a few minutes, but before that, let's check out the main.js file. So here I have a simple function that makes a call to my advanced IO function. So the idea here is when you click on the submit button, the file upload API will get triggered after image moderation. So the first step will be triggering the image moderation API to check if it's safe. If it's safe, then we are going to trigger the file upload API. So as you can see, I'm invoking my advanced IO function here and passing the file object to the advanced IO function. So this will be called from the submit button. So here we have the submit button, and on click we're calling the upload file function, from which we'll call the advanced IO function. So this is the flow. I'll show you the client configurations. I'll show you the web client in the browser in just a minute. So let me type Catalyst Serve. So we use Catalyst Serve to run the application in our local machine. So it will be running on localhost to show us the output. Let me show you the web app right now. I'm going to type my name here, my email address, and I have to choose a file to upload. So I'm going to choose one of the files that I have. So probably this one. So I'm going to click on open. Now I have to click on the submit button to upload this file. So when I click on submit button, it's going to trigger the advanced IO function. It has to. So we need to configure the advanced IO function so that it gets triggered on submit. So now let's go ahead and configure the advanced IO function. So here, since we need to upload files to file store, we have to create a folder. So I'm going to call it submissions folder and create it. Now that this folder has been created, we can upload all files to this folder. We'll need this file folder ID to be provided in our code. So we'll copy this folder ID and include it in our code snippet. So we have our advanced IO function here. We'll be using a couple of dependencies here. So let's go ahead and install them. So I'm going to install. So I'm going to install the Express package first. npm install save express. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install Axios. Please use fetch or whichever package you feel comfortable with. Now I'm going to install form data. Then I'll install fs. Then I'll install Multer. So Multer is like an intermediate, it's like middleware that is used in order to upload your file. So here, as you can see, we're creating a temporary directory inside which we'll add our folders, from which we'll be uploading our files to our file store. So you cannot directly upload them because a file is received as a file object in a function, and you cannot upload an object directly. So you have to upload the path to the function, which is the reason we create that function within our same active directory and then upload it. This will work even in development sandbox and production. So that this will get stored temporarily with Catalyst, and once the upload process is done, this will get deleted automatically. So right now I've installed all the dependencies that are required. So all we have to do is now, let me show you how this works. So we have the image upload API that is being called from the client. And in the image upload API, I have installed the Catalyst SDK instance and I'm making a call to upload. So what happens is in upload, I'm making a call to Multer and fetching the file from storage. So here, as you can see, from disk storage, I'm going to move it to my current directory, which is given by directory name. So here I will move the file and then upload it to my file store. So this way I will make a request. So if I have an error, I'm going to throw that error right away. If there is no error, then I'm going to go ahead and use the ZIA image moderation SDK. So using the ZIA image moderation SDK, I'm making a call to the file that is present in that temporary path. So we get that path using request.file.path. So, and the mode is going to be moderation. So I'm going to pass this to our ZIA API. And once the image is moderated, you'll get that in result. So once the image has been moderated, if it is safe, then I would have to upload the file. So here we have the upload file code. I want you to try. The result is going to be very simple. It's going to be a confidence level and the marker to show you if this image can be uploaded. So if it's safe and the confidence level. So I want you to try if you can upload the file to file store. So if it's safe or not is a check that I want you to do. We can surely wait for you to complete that check and then proceed. But once you've done that, you'll be able to upload the file after. So you add the check here and then upload the file. Here we've created a read stream. So there are two parameters that are involved when you want to upload a file. One is the file name, the second is the file path. So we pass the temporary file path that we fetch and the file name. So this has to be passed along with the folder ID. So you create a Catalyst component instance and pass the respective parameters for the folder ID and the configuration. So configuration is the path and the name and the folder ID. So once this is done, I'm going to make an upload request. And if it's successful, then I'm going to display the message as uploaded successfully. This is the implementation in terms of our advanced IO function. So this way, we have the client that has been configured. We have the advanced IO function, which is going to be called from the client. We check if the image is safe. If so, we upload it to file store. This is one part of the process. Once the file has been uploaded, how do we take it from there is what we're going to see next. I've opened up my console for this project here. You can find that there are no functions present, although we've configured the advanced IO function. This is because all the changes that we've done are present locally and haven't been pushed to the development sandbox. So right now I'm going to create an event function here. So let me select the type of function as event function. The function name is going to be upload file. So let's call it upload file to store. Upload file store. Okay, let's call it upload file store. Usually it's recommended to have smaller names. So we have the event function, upload file store is the name, and I'm choosing default template with Catalyst SDK. So I'm going to click on create. And our function has been created for us. I prefer working with VS Code. So now we're going to go ahead and pull that function from development sandbox to our local environment. Now we need to pull the event function that we configured in the console to our local debugging environment. So I have typed catalyst pull. So this command is used to pull files from the development sandbox to our local environment. Here I'm going to choose functions. And in functions, I'm going to choose the upload file store function, which is our event function that we configured. It's done. So let's check our folder here. When you check functions, you have the upload file store function that has been created newly. Let's open up the index.js file and start adding our code right here. So here we are going to make a call to the administrator's channel. So there is a channel for administrator in Slack. We're going to post a message saying there has been an entry from a candidate for the photography contest. So let's include that call to Slack, and we can also add multiple conditions here. So say I tell you these submissions are accepted only till August 30th. So you can add a condition here for date, time, and you can even constrain it in such a way that every day between 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. you allow them to submit their entries. So you can have special configuration done here according to your use case. But for now, I'm going to skip it. I want you to configure this in such a way that this event function will work only if the entry is submitted from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And yeah, so that will be the constraint for you. Now we'll add the code to be able to push this message to Slack. In Slack, we'll provide the file ID and say this file has been uploaded right now. This way the admin will be able to get an idea of the files that have been uploaded right from his messaging application. This part is totally optional. So I wanted to show you how to use an event function. The reason I'm doing this is because an advanced IO function's execution is capped at 15 seconds. So once we perform those two operations, we might not be able to perform another one. That is the reason I'm creating an event function here. So I want to notify the admins who are present in a Slack channel that there is an entry that they need to take a look at. So our application is going to work this way. If one of the admins do not like the application, like the photography entry, they'll delete the entry. But if someone likes it, they'll just retain it to see if everyone else likes it as well. So this way they'll get rid of entries that they don't like and come up with a list of entries that they like. Here we've created an event listener. So this event listener has been created for uploading a file. As you can see, the action is upload. When submissions are uploaded to the submissions folder, this event function will get triggered automatically. So when this function gets triggered, what happens is a Slack message is sent instantly with the file ID to notify the admin to check this. So I'm going to create a variable for file ID and store the file ID there. So I'll be passing this file ID here in the message. This is HTML that I'm passing to my Slack channel just so that it looks good. So this way I'm going to pass markdown text. I'm going to have this being sent in the Slack channel, but you can choose the text that you want to send and send it with the file ID. Why do we need to send it with the file ID? So the option is totally up to you. If you do not want to send with the file ID, then you can skip that. But the reason we're sending it with the file ID is if the admin replies with the file ID and a message saying accepted or rejected. Let's say, for example, file ID is 1. So I say 1 accepted, file ID 1 accepted. So you can create an events subscription, events API subscription like we saw in our last bootcamp. This way you'll be able to capture the messages, see that you have received a message that is saying this entry has been rejected and delete that file from the file store. So this way you'll always have an active list of files that have been accepted by the admin only. This is the reason we are following this approach, but this is completely optional. You could stop with configuring an advanced IO function as well. The reason we are doing this is because we want to intimate this to the admin and let them know that a submission has been added. They can check the submission and provide the status that they think they want to add for it. If they say accepted, we are going to retain the image. If they say rejected, we are going to delete the image from file store completely. So they'll be deleting it with the file ID. This way we will delete the file directly from the folder that it has been created in with the file ID. So we've seen two approaches. So we've seen how the application looks from the customer point of view, where with customer I'm referring to the students or the people, the candidates who submit their application. So from their point of view, they're going to have the web client in which they'll be uploading the file. And once they've uploaded the file, they'll get we'll perform image moderation, check if the file is safe, and if it's safe, we're going to upload it directly into our folder. Once it has been uploaded, the admin gets a message in Slack. They check the message, they check the file and see if they like it. If they like it, they're going to retain it there. If they don't like it, they're going to send a message saying file ID rejected. You are going to work on the Events API subscription part and delete it from the file store. So this way you'll be able to create an interface for both the customer and the admin. The customer is going to have a web client, whereas the admin is going to have Slack as a medium for communication. The reason we are going with Slack is because since we did Slack in our previous bootcamp as well, I thought there might be a slight familiarity with the platform and it might be easier. But you can push this to any messaging API. So any webhook that accepts messages, you'll be able to push it. And a word of caution, when you do this with Slack, they provide a secret key for you for an incoming webhook. Please do not share this incoming webhook URL to anyone. It contains the secret and should not be shared. So I'll show you how to enable the incoming webhooks in Slack right away. And after that, we'll look at a demo of the complete application. Just like last time, we're going to access api.slack.com/apps. And here I created the post images app. You can create any application, so you can name it as per your wish. Only thing you have to keep in mind is you come into incoming webhooks under add features and enable this. Usually this is disabled. You click on enable and generate a new webhook URL. So I'm going to disable this after the session, but you should not share this hook URL with anyone. So because this contains a secret, you're supposed to have this only for yourself. Now we've looked at all the portions. We've looked at the web client separately. We've configured the advanced I/O function. We've uploaded the file to file store. We've checked in the event function and created a message for the admin user. And all we have to do is right now take a look at the demo of the complete application and how that works. So once that is done, we would have completed our portion. From your side, you would have to create an Events API subscription in order to check if the entry has been rejected. If so, you have to delete the file, which is first point. The second thing is going to be, you're going to send a mail using the Node.js SDK to the email address that we specify in order to tell them that it has been revoked. So we tell them that your entry has been rejected, when a file is getting deleted. Or you could do this once a file is uploaded as well. So if a file has been uploaded successfully after image moderation, or if it has been intimated to the admin, you'll be able to send a mail. So we wanted to do this once the file has been uploaded and the message has been sent to admin. So you tell the user that they have to wait for a while to hear back from us. This is the flow we have in mind. So two things you have to do: the Events API subscription and the part where you send out a mail saying their submission has been added to the queue and the admin will be getting back to them shortly. So let's take a look at the complete demo now. So the mail part, you can send it to whomever you want to. You can either send it to the admin to say it has been submitted, or you can send it to the participants' email that we're getting from the form to say your entry has been accepted. So those are options that you can try out for sure. But this brings us to the end of the Codelab. So this is the part with, we've done 3 components today: the web client, the advanced I/O function, and the event-driven function. And we've used the file store as well. So we'll share this recording with you. We want you to try out along with the code as well. So we want you to try out this whole application as such and let us know if you try a new use case as well. So if you can try out the email part, we would love to hear that. If you could try out other variations in this, let us know the ones that you try out. So we can stop playing the video, Jan, and we can continue with the presentation probably. But I think we've almost completed our part of it. So if you have anything to share, we would love to hear from you. If not, we'll share a couple of interesting use cases and we'll wrap up quickly.
Shri? There's some issue
So
with
I'll
my-
start sharing my screen. So shall I share my screen for the video, sorry, for the presentation, Jan? Shall we continue
Yeah.
with that, or shall we take use cases from the audience?
You can go ahead. So before we start, let's take opinion from our users today.
Mhm.
Are we clear so far? You want us to repeat any of these features?
So in web client hosting, we support. You can use HTML. You can use any of the front end frameworks like React or Angular. You cannot use ZML, but you can embed iframes usually with Catalyst web client. However, if the creator ZML application can be embedded within the Catalyst web client, something that you would have to try out once to make sure you don't have any xframe allow errors or something like that. But with Catalyst, you cannot use ZML. You will be using only HTML, CSS, and React, or like any front-end framework of your choice. So I'll start sharing my screen. So we would love to hear about this. We make a post in the community as well, so that we involve everyone who was unable to attend the session as well. But from you as well, we would love to hear what you would have done differently if you were Janet. So if you had to build this application, would you have split it into an event function and an advanced IO function? Would you complete it in advanced IO function itself? Would you create a cron function to fetch a couple of files together and then process? How would you do this? So this is my version of it, and this is the way I would do it if it were given to me. But this is not the only solution that's possible. For every use case, we can have multiple solution paradigms. So we would love to hear the approach that you would use.
So I would like to use this catalyst to upload multiple file in a single shot and link with the creator application. Right now, we did a Angular node module to upload the multiple file, and we call that once submit the creator form, we call that external application and upload the multiple file into S3 bucket, then save that file ID in creator. Once when we need that application images, we retrieve that from S3. So we are doing like that. But I need to use that separate Angular module into using the catalyst. That's my target.
I'm happy to hear that, Munawar. So go ahead, keep building and let us know if you hit any roadblocks. So you can either ping me on Click or come ask us the question in community. That's a
Sure.
great use case to upload multiple files. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we have a couple of use case samples that we've posted in the community for you to go through as well. So we've discussed this in the previous session as well, where we had the case with a reverse logistics company who wanted to check the quality of the packaging when the packaging is being returned. So we have use cases like this, which will be posted in the community as well. So we can do this for any forum. Like you could take Connect as an example. You could moderate the images that are being posted in Connect and then allow posting on Connect. So things like this. So you could do this on Slack. You could do this in any place where you want to moderate the content or the images. So we have a list of use cases like this. We'll share this in the community as well, so that you'll be able to take a look and share your use cases as well. Like,
Okay, thanks.
awesome. Jan, we could probably share the slide deck and the recordings in the community, and a list of use cases as well. So we can look for submissions related to the use case for sure. So we'll do that.
We'll do that today itself.